welcome. I think we're gonna get going here. We've got a jam-packed session this morning, so we'll go ahead and get started. For those that don't know me, my name is Danielle Bremer. I'm the Chief Growth Officer here at Lean Techniques. If this is your first time here, welcome. As a reminder, Lean Bites are short 16-minute talks where we work to provide you with simple, practical tips and techniques you can start applying within your organization today. A couple quick housekeeping items. If you have questions throughout today's talk, please feel free to drop them in the chat. I will review and address as we can at the end if time allows, or offer some insights in a follow-up email. And please do us a huge favor to complete the survey that will automatically pop up at the end of the session. Your feedback is really important to us in curating sessions in the future. So with that, let's get started. I'm excited to introduce our CEO and founder, Brandon Carlson, to discuss how Porter's 5 forces may be able to be applied to review your competitive landscape. Brandon, over to you.
Oh, hi. This talk is called Surveying the Competitive Landscape, a gentle introduction to Porter's 5 forces. But as I was working on it, I realized this probably isn't very gentle. There's a lot of content in here. So one of the things you'll see, I'll probably breeze over some stuff that I think, really we should be talking more in depth about, but I'm happy to do a follow-up to talk in more depth. When I put the slides together, because I knew we'd be short on time and there's a lot of content, the slides are pretty wordy. I'm not going to read them to you, but that way, when we share them out afterwards, you can read all the gory details and hopefully have some other questions that we can reach out and talk about. So what is the 5 forces? So the 5 forces is a framework that Michael Porter first published. He's like a business professor at Harvard Business School. And he first published them in 1979 in the Harvard Business Review. And what he was thinking about is kind of a reaction to, he was thinking about what, perfect competition looks like and what that would do to industry if everybody achieved the economic perfect competition. And he started thinking about what are the forces that impact that. So I'm going to run through the 5 forces quick here, and then we'll get into them a little bit more. But so as an introduction, intensity of rivalry, that's the first force. Okay, and that's kind of at the center. Intensity of rivalry is really how competitive is your industry in general. And we'll talk about each one of these in more detail. So I'm not going to spend much more time on it right now than that. Then we can look at bargaining power of suppliers. So what this really means is, how much influence do your suppliers and your supply chain have on your business? And I don't know if everybody's watching the news lately, but one thing that isn't talked about in this particular slide deck, but is important, you might have saw on the coast that there is a strike now on the dock workers. It's impacting people's ability on the supply chain to get their goods and services, get products to people. So supply chain is really important part of the competition. Next is that I'll talk about here is the threat of new entrants. So threat of new entrants, this is really simply how easy is it for somebody else to come into the industry. That could be through an acquisition, that could be through just low startup costs, those kinds of things. Next, the bargaining power of customers. So the bargaining power of customers is really all about how much influence can your customer wield over your pricing, those kinds of things. How much can they steer your pricing and your product offerings? Then finally, threat of substitutes. So this is, how easy is it and how many people are out there that could switch people, how easy is it to switch from your product or service to a competitor's product or service? So those are the intro to the 5 forces. So what he basically said is, while intensity of rivalry is kind of the common, what everybody talks about when they talk about competition, there's really these other forces that are also at play when it comes to determining what your potential profitability is in your industry. Okay. So, what is this? This is just a tool. Like all tools, this is geared to help you think about the problem. It's not foolproof. You can go out and look online, and there's all kinds of criticisms of this five forces analysis, but I'll tell you, I found that it's pretty useful and a good thinking tool for thinking about how you can approach your corporate strategy and some of the problems that you face from a competitive nature. So what it's not, what it's not is perfect. It's definitely not perfect. I think the quote is all models are wrong, some are useful. I throw this into that bucket. Um, there are things that it's not predicting, like it doesn't take into much consideration future events, things like that. It tends to look at current and past trends. But like I said, still useful. When to use it? Here, it's really all about, hey, we are looking at what do we want to do? How do we want to bring a new product to market or improve our positioning in a particular market? We can use the five forces as a tool to help us devise a strategy to improve our position in whatever market you're in. Okay. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go through two examples. I'm going to go through each force, then I'm going to go through an example that you might, these are both fictitious examples, but I'm going to do one as a SaaS startup in the real estate space, and the other would be a retail store. And so what we'll do is we'll kind of guide you through like what these two companies might be doing to use the tool. Okay, let's get after it. Okay, the first force was intensity of rivalry. Like I said before, this is really just how competitive is your space already. And one of the things you can do here is there's just a lot of questions you have to start asking yourself, like how many competitors are there in our industry or in our geography? How saturated is the market for our product? Do we have a product that is a Me Too product that everybody's doing? Is it an AI product for document retrieval? Because there's a lot of people doing that now, right? And how differentiated is your offering compared to the other competitors in your market? Now, there's a million more questions you could ask. We only have so much room on the slides, so we won't get into many more, but that's just a tease of some of the questions you can ask. Now, how do these things affect your profitability? Like the first question, how many competitors? As y'all probably know, if there's a lot of options for a lot of competitors for something, it tends to whittle down to price, given, all things equal, such as lack of differentiation, those kinds of things. Tends to go down to price and you'd end up competing on price. How saturated is the market for your product, right? So in a highly saturated market, you guys have probably seen a lot of mergers and acquisitions in these mature markets. What tends to happen is the big people thrive. And so the big people have higher economies of scale, all kinds of other things, and they can basically become more profitable and, really take on more of the market share and squeeze you out. So, and then finally, differentiation. I kind of hinted at this before. When you have low differentiation, it's kind of hard to charge a lot. It tends to drive prices down and therefore profitability. Okay, so example here, real estate tech startup. This is a SaaS company building a mapping solution for land evaluation. And we would say our solution here is low to medium on the rivalry. I'm not going to go into all the reasons why. You can leave that till later, but we decided that there's not a lot of rivalry in this space. And by the way, anytime you have a high in one of these forces, it means there's less profitability in it for your company, and low means there's higher opportunity for profitability. Then retail store. If you have a grocery chain, that's a little bit different. You could probably quickly think about examples in grocery. There's a lot of grocers out there. They tend to all sell the same products. So that's an example where intensity of rivalry is high. There's always sales going on trying to get people in the door. Next one is supplier bargaining power. So in this particular case, this is how much influence the suppliers wield over your ability to make money. So how many suppliers are there for the different aspects? So if you have one piece and there's only 3 suppliers in the market, what's going to happen is that person could change their prices, and that's the only person you can get your supplies from. So therefore, they can have a big impact in your profitability just by changing their prices. Or if there's a supply chain interruption, that would potentially interrupt the delivery of the product for them, then that can really impact your profitability because you won't be able to move product. So um, likewise, a couple other questions. Can other suppliers move into our market? So I think of kind of like Apple and some of these kind of people where like, hey, we can just vertically integrate and we can just add that to a existing offering that you were supplying separately. And then last one, suppliers have any weaknesses in their supply chain. This is just an example of taking that next level, next order thinking, and you know, what's the next level effect of something happening in their supply chain? Do they have a resilient supply chain? Real estate tech startup, we decided that the risks were low because in this particular case, most of the data the real estate startup is requiring is publicly available data. So we're using service providers to collect that data, but at the end of the day, it's still public data. So if those suppliers go away, if they change their terms, we can still get that data other places, for example. Retail store now, that we moved up a little bit more, and that's a medium there because, at the end of the day, everybody's selling the same products. So um, it's pretty easy to get a hold of those products. There's a lot of distributors out there, so those kinds of things. But it's still they could wield some influence on us if they choose to boycott our retail store, those kinds of things, right? Next is threat of new entrants. Threat of new entrants is how easy is it for a newcomer to come in? Some of the questions here are how much does it cost? Are there big regulatory things that you have to go through? Those kinds of things. Do we have intellectual property? Okay. And in our real estate startup there, we decided that it was high because it was a pretty low barrier to entry. You just got to be able to code with AI tools and offshoring. That can be pretty affordable now. Now, on the other hand, the retail store could be medium. We chose medium instead of high because we decided that, at the end of the day, e-commerce is big and it's pretty cheap and easy to start up an e-commerce store versus a brick and mortar. So, you know, kind of thought high at first and then started going down because you could do e-commerce specialty stores pretty cheap. Next is customer buying power. So questions here, how price sensitive are your customers? Is there high customer concentration? These things are going to affect how much people are willing to pay for your particular product or service, which obviously changes your profitability. In the real estate startup, bargaining power is low. People don't actually have a solution for this. We're talking big money type operations. And so the subscription and licensing fees that we believe we're going to charge for our pure play SaaS solution is not even going to be on the radar for them. Retail store, again, we have medium because, there's a large segment of the customers where price sensitivity is really important, right? And so, but people also have a lot of opportunities to shop at other places because they can get the same items at different places. So we went with medium on that. Those two forces kind of balanced each other out. Next, threat of substitutes. Threat of substitutes is how easy can people swap your product for another product? What are available? Are there any new technologies that might obsolete our products? What are the switching costs? How easy is it to switch back and forth? So given that, our real estate startup, we decided it was medium, probably a big risk because what people are doing today is they're using spreadsheets for all that. They could really easily go back to spreadsheets, you know. Then our retail store threat of substitutes is high because, hey, you can shop anywhere, right? You can buy all the same things anywhere. Now, that was pretty boring and long. Now what? What do we do with it? Okay, if we review our analysis of our two startups, then you could see low to medium is what we ended up getting in our real estate startup and medium to high on the retail store. So medium to high means we're probably going to end up with lower profitability and we're probably going to need more volume in order to be successful and more scale to make a lot of money. Real estate startup, we got low to medium. So that's probably a bigger opportunity for profit, although it might be a smaller market. But let's take that analysis and let's turn it into action. So then what you want to do is you want to take all of those ideas and all those concepts that you talked about from the five forces. And that's how what you can do is to take those and put those together and figure out what's your strategy for addressing all of them. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be grouped by, force, but I did here for simplicity's sake. So you could see intensity of rivalry was low to medium. So we were really trying to, our strategy here in the real estate gig is to be first mover. So if we can build up a large customer base fast, then we can edge out some of the other competitors. Supplier bargaining power is low. We're probably not gonna, we're gonna consolidate all that stuff into our own stuff, and we might actually start offering a revenue stream for other people that want access to this publicly information data in a more user-friendly way. Threat of new entrants was high. So what we really want to do is we want to start adding features to our product that really gives differentiation and adds value through intellectual property, those kinds of things. So we're really looking at adding a forecasting feature. Next, customer bargaining power low. So we're really not going to do anything with this right now. We don't feel like this is a big threat for us. We're going to keep everything status quo and keep moving. And then threat of substitute products. So if it's all it is a map and some forecasting tools, could be a lot easier for people to switch to a Me Too product. But what we decided to do here is we decided we want to start bundling CRM functionality into our tool to help widen the problem space that it solves. And then that'll cause the folks to have more of an investment in the platform and will make the platform a lot more sticky. Now, in a retail store, I see I'm 1 minute over already. So retail store, I won't go through these, but you can read them. Hopefully you can see how we took those forces and what we figured out about those forces. And then we use that to develop what's our strategy, our product strategy to help advance our product and become more competitive in the overall space. So I went through that really fast. You can take it and just do that on your own with your teams, and then let me know how it goes, or reach out. It's fun to do. If you ever want to just do an exercise, I'm happy to walk through the exercise with you because it's kind of fun and thought-provoking. So, and I was right. I wouldn't have enough time left for questions.
That was impressive, though. That was, I think,
Thanks.
1.5x. That's Danielle style talking right there. So nice work out of you. We'll go ahead and close. Brandon offered to help any of you that are interested in potentially applying some of these tips or maybe doing a deeper dive in this framework. And want to just close with another thank you for attending. Again, pop-up survey will be showing up here as soon as we close out here. Your feedback is appreciated. And also want to invite you to our session this Thursday at 11 a.m. For a leadership panel webinar on strategic planning. I'll be moderating an hour of discussions around annual planning, and which we know is a topic that's probably pretty timely for many of our customers. And we hope that you will also walk away with some applicable tips. So we'll let you guys go for the day. Thanks again for joining.